Nate, we missed you.
Hey, I missed y'all as well, man. It's been too long.
Before we dive in too much, in case nobody saw the first interview, we connected with you because we saw you first on Diego's podcast. And Diego
Yep.
was the first person to ever have us as a guest on a podcast. So we'll always owe Diego a debt of gratitude. You are a paranormal investigator, but what in our eyes you're famous for is being a debunker. So you have like YouTube and TikTok and you're everywhere on social media, but your big role is debunking the BS that's out there in this community. And there's plenty of it.
I've always been a firm believer in my 16 years of investigating the paranormal. The way I do things is I rip apart my own evidence before anyone else has the opportunity to do so. I won't put anything online that I don't deem credible. As far as if I can't figure it out, then I'm not going to put it online. Like if I can't, then it's not going there, because someone else with a little bit more knowledge than I have perhaps is going to come by and be like, dude, look, you're doing this wrong. And they're probably going to approach me wrong, step on my toes wrong, and be like, you don't have to be an asshole about it. It's really weird because me and my daughter were watching a show called Paranormal Caught on Camera. It's one of my favorite shows to break stuff down from, to be honest with you, because 80% of the stuff that I've seen on there is crap. And we're watching an episode that had to do with a place called Dead Children's Playground in Huntsville, Alabama, which I have personally been to. You could see this video of the swing moving on its own, and when the camera comes back, the guys are like, oh, there's no wind, there's blah blah blah, and I'm sitting there like, you can see the trees moving. How's this dude saying there's no wind? And it kind of sparked an idea in my head, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna break this video down on my YouTube channel. And that's just kind of like how the ball guard started rolling.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And season 2's coming out soon, right?
Actually, I have 2 season 2s coming out because I'm in the process of filming my season 2 of my paranormal app test for my YouTube channel. And I've got season 2 of my paranormal breakdowns already started. I've got, I think right now, like I told Diego, I think like 18 in the works. It takes a little bit of time because, you know, I still frame a lot of stuff, and I take my time going through because I want to properly explain exactly what I'm seeing, because I try to get them done in under a minute, and that's not always easy.
Yeah, and just for anybody that's watching this, just to shout you out again, shout Nate out. Your content is so enjoyable to watch, and it's just interesting to kind of get that other side perspective of looking at something that maybe was a viral video and somebody actually kind of taking it piece by piece and saying, well, actually, this is plausibly what it probably is.
So I am going to do a little bit of a switch up on my season 2 of my TikToks, though, because I actually have 3 videos coming out that I cannot explain.
Oh, we were talking about this tonight, and you're the best person to ask. What do you think about everybody, and I know you see it, putting demon, demonic, and devil in their titles these days? It's like it's like picked up pace. Would you not say in the last like 2 months it's everywhere?
So it absolutely is everywhere, and a lot of that, you know what, it has to do with the inside of Hollywood, to be honest. It's basically, it's like, it's annoying because it's difficult to explain, because human spirits can scratch you too. It doesn't have to be a demon. You know, in my 16 years of investigating the paranormal, I have never encountered a demon. And I have been to some pretty amazing places, and I've been scratched, I've been bitten, I've been punched in the eye, I have been pushed over. I don't consider them demons. I just consider them, you know, the leftover from a person who probably was not the most friendly person in their lifetime. I call myself a paranormal researcher. I don't call myself a paranormal investigator. And the reason I do that is because I research all aspects of the paranormal. You know, we're going to discuss a little bit of the other stuff tonight besides ghosts. You know, I do cryptids. I do UFOs. I don't have the best knowledge of UFOs, but I do delve into it a little bit. Ghost is my specialty. But if you just study ghosts, you're a ghost hunter. You're not a paranormal researcher. If you just study UFOs, you're a ufologist. You're not a paranormal researcher. If you just do cryptids, you're a cryptozoologist. Stop trying to make yourself out to be something that you're not, to make yourself sound better.
Yeah, so kind of on that subject, transitioning into it, it's been very timely, especially the past few weeks, past few days, with congressional hearings, a bunch of reports of sightings and evidence, whistleblowers, everything. And we kind of want to gauge the subject of aliens and UAPs or UFOs.
You have the conspiracy theorists that are coming out now basically saying, oh, they're openly admitting they have aliens. No, they're saying a non-biological human entity. That could be a microbe. That could be a germ. That could be something extremely small that just happened to exist on a meteorite that came from outer space. That doesn't mean they have an alien somewhere in captivity.
Every day, I think we're still finding new species that's just on our own planet. So who's not to say that some sort of microorganism, or it could be something that we just haven't discovered on our own planet yet.
I told Diego this the first time we spoke. I have an aunt who's married into the family whose father worked for the military. Like famously, we knew he worked for the American military. And on his deathbed, early 2000s, he told his family that in the 80s he worked as a guard for Area 51 and that there are aliens there. And he said if we ever saw what they look like, that we would like panic, want to kill ourselves. Like very dramatic, just like horrifying, scary to look at their faces. And it tracks where they lived growing up and all that stuff. So the information tracks, but
That's actually really cool information. I'm not going to lie to you. I used to actually live out at Lake Mead in Nevada. I lived there for
sweet.
about 7 months. I've actually seen the sign that tells you that it's a government facility, like firsthand. And I can tell you that armed guards will chase you. But he was saying earlier about how the aliens look. Have you guys ever heard the theory that we are actually an alien species ourselves that were put here as an experiment to see if we would fail?
yeah.
That one's kind of out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's impossible to say that there are no other species in our universe.
I think that's ignorant.
Right.
Right.
Theoretically,
It absolutely is. It's
there
ignorant.
is some form of life somewhere. We are not an anomaly by any sense. Maybe within our solar system, sure. But outside of that, I mean, the universe, it's vast.
It's unknown how many galaxies are actually out there. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
There could be another planet out there that's similar to ours that we just don't know about, or there could be another life form that has found a way to adapt on a planet that's much harsher than ours. I mean, really, we just don't have the answer for that. But these, UFOs, these spacecrafts, and everything that people are seeing, they're coming from somewhere.
A lot of the times we say, oh, well, this planet can't harbor life, but that's us kind of comparing our understanding of how we're able to live.
Harbor our life.
It can't harbor our life, but that's not to say
Oh.
that there's a planet where they've just adapted to the harsher environments.
That's
I mean,
cool.
if you even look
Correct.
at the studies of Earth, basically right after the asteroid hit, I mean, Earth was burning essentially, but there were still
Basically unlivable.
microorganisms that were able to kind of adapt to that, survive that, and then develop into what we are now, what the animals and other organisms that we know are now. So
Think
Exactly.
about
A planet doesn't have to be like ours to support life. It has to be able to support the life that has been able to adapt to that particular setting.
What has like shocked you the most? Because you've been very generous with your time these last few weeks in prepping this interview. You've done a lot of research, a lot of reading.
In all of my research, and it's one of the few things that has always kind of puzzled me, and I don't even know if you guys have plans on going in this direction, but the Nazca lines in Peru. They're basically huge petroglyphs that were carved into the landscape. You can only see them from about 400 to 500 yards above the ground. They were carved by the ancient people that lived there. What are ancient people carving huge petroglyphs into the ground for? They can't see what they look like on full scope, but somehow they were able to geometrically draw perfect shapes.
ancient technology and like all the civilizations that have been buried over time, whether it be like underwater or Stonehenge. Like I know there's so many things out there that people are like, what is that even for?
Stonehenge is a great example, and I mean, obviously, the most, I guess you could say, accepted answer by the scientific community is it's a form of astrological calendar in a way. You can perfectly take it and align it with the Celtic traditions for sunrise of the equinoxes and the sunsets. So you can take that and kind of formulate that into a, I guess you could, like I said, an astrological calendar. Not just that, but how did they stack them?
I didn't want to sound dumb when I was thinking that. Like, I don't want to say it out loud, but that's exactly kind of like the whole ancient technology stuff. It's like same with building the pyramids. How do they stack these giant stones on each other?
I think it got destroyed last year, but the Georgia Guidestones down in Atlanta, Georgia. But this monument was made overnight, and it had, I think it was 3 pillars, but each pillar was 3-sided. So it was a total of, quote unquote, 9 pillars technically. 9 different languages with, I think it was 21 rules or 11 rules to control the world's population in many different languages. No one ever claimed building it. No one knows where it came from. It wasn't there one day and it was there the next. September or so of last year. They don't know if someone actually purposely destroyed it or if it was struck by lightning during a lightning storm, but the actual stones are no longer there. They ended up having to bulldoze them.
The stone said to maintain humanity under 500 million, perpetual balance with nature, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity, unite humanity with a living new language, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason.
That is terrifying. UAPs and aliens are a very American problem. And it seems like when you think about it, that's where a lot of these sightings come from, or at least that you see going viral and people sharing.
America, next to, I would say, Russia, is probably the most nuclear powered. So if you notice and you go back through and you look at the trends, which I did not take the time to do so, but if you would like to map it out, you probably can. A lot of these sightings take place near nuclear power plants. Quote unquote UAPs or the beings upon them, are they interested in what we're doing as far as nuclear power? Are they trying to keep track on what we're doing? Are they trying to ensure that we're not going to have some kind of major catastrophe similar to that of the Chernobyl back in '86? Really kind of took place about a year and a half, 2 years after Chernobyl is when all of these UAPs started being reported. People seeing them, which, you know, that's minus the Roswell crash of like a 43 or something like that, you know, minus the Roswell crash. But the big uptick in sightings started taking place after Chernobyl. So maybe they are here observing what we're doing on our military bases and our nuclear power plants to ensure there's not some kind of catastrophic disaster that's going to happen because, well, humans are idiots.
This is a map of UFO sightings in the world.
Oh my God.
Based off of what I'm seeing there, I would base it about 90% over the US.
I think funny enough, there's some parallels there too. There's some stuff that we feel we catch that we feel it almost looks fake or sounds fake. If we hear like a disembodied voice, which Prospect Place, for example, that we went to, we are hearing voices, and is it possible that maybe through a two-way camera in the room that we were hearing something? Anything's possible. Do we think that's what happened? We don't think that's what happened. Does this seem fake because it's so real? And that kind of goes to what you're talking about. If a photo is so clear, people are going to think, oh, well, that's...
I actually have a photo I want to send you guys to have you look over and tell me your opinion. I was investigating an abandoned house off in the field with my first ever co-founder. All we had was a voice recorder, a flashlight, and a 35mm camera that had a 10-second recharge. We heard a step and a drag, a very loud step and a drag that came from the attic, and the room went dark. He left me in there by myself. He ran. All I had was a 35mm camera, so I'm trying to find my way out. 10-second intervals trying to wait for the flash to charge. And that's when I actually caught this. It was a random chance photo.
Is it on the right side of the
Right side of the window?
Right side of the window.
In person, was there anything on the wall there?
No, I actually do have a few comparisons that I can pull off my computer and send you later. There is literally nothing there. So through further research, I did find out that the guy actually died in that home and he did have an in-house nurse. To me, that looks like someone in a nurse's uniform.
Whoa! That's one of the better pieces of evidence I've ever seen. And there was nothing hanging on the wall. There's nothing on that wall.
Nothing at all.
So I know we've kind of diverted a bit, and this has all been awesome conversation with you as always. Is there anything else on kind of the UAP subject or extraterrestrial subject?
We didn't hit on the Easter Island heads, which are kind of a strange phenomena all on their own. How did they get there? Who built them?
The statues that are like buried in the ground.
Yeah, and for several years they thought it was just heads that were sticking out of the ground until they excavated one and they found that they have bodies. Why? Who did that?
They go down how far?
I think it was like, what, like 30, 40 feet, something like that?
Ish, yes.
Well, I mean, I think I speak for the three of us here that we obviously would love to talk to you again about this stuff. So I'm sure you'll be featured in a ghost host for a third, fourth, fifth time.
I'm more than welcome to come on. I enjoy talking with you guys. I mean, about anything you guys want to talk. Cryptids, speaking of cryptids, one more thing.
Yeah.
You know what I find weird with all the stuff coming out in Congress, you know, all that? It kind of makes me wonder if these cryptids that people see that remind you of an alien type being, such as say the Dover Demon or the Flatwoods Monster or the Fresno Nightcrawlers, like, are they actually alien, not cryptids?
Yeah, I mean, of course, a lot of what we're talking about is hypothetical mixed with evidence that could potentially be plausible. A lot of the arguments against something like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or Skinwalker, anything it's kind of a standalone instance, and you have to think, okay, biologically, yes, there's an argument they could be completely biologically different from us, no matches whatsoever. But then it's like, well, why are we only seeing one at a time when shouldn't there be some larger population from them of them if they exist? And then if you
would think
that theory, that would make a little more sense. If
it kind of does make sense, and you know, there are theories out there that even Bigfoot's an interdimensional being. I've heard that theory. It's kind of out there, but that would explain why we can't find a mass population and or any kind of remain.
Before we go, I wanted to make sure you plugged your book that you just wrote. What's it about?
In contact with a publisher. I'm hoping it will be out by mid next year, if all goes right. I have to shorten it a little bit. He doesn't like how long it is, but the book itself is actually going to be called Downloading for the Dead, Investigating Paranormal Applications. It's based off of my experience testing paranormal applications for my YouTube channel, and I basically describe in detail how they work, which ones I think work, which ones I think of garbage, and, you know, it kind of like some in behind the scenes things that happen. Like I described the time that I fell down the basement staircase. That never made it into the video. or the time I almost gave myself stitches running into the pipe in the basement.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
I greatly appreciate the compliments, guys, and I greatly also appreciate your trust in me. And anytime you guys want to have me on here to chat, you just shoot me a message. We'll make it work, unless, you know, extenuating circumstances come into play.
Yeah.
I enjoy talking with you guys. I enjoy talking with Diego. You guys, I mean, I'm always willing to come on and talk to you guys.